Every life has a soundtrack. Join me as we invite guests to share their journey through music, one song at a time. 10 moments, 10 memories. I'm your host, Sean, and welcome to 10 Tracks.
Are you ready?
Welcome to 10 Tracks. My guest today is Stacey Owen. Stacey, she's a curious creator and lifelong learner who's built 4 businesses, including a marketing agency she just sold last summer. These days, she's a business and money mindset coach and the force behind her brand, Hey Silly Rebel, where she helps ambitious women redefine their relationship with money, experiment with how they market and grow and build businesses as well as their lives, so that they feel completely their own, all while still having fun. I guess if you're not having fun, what are we doing here?
Exactly.
Hi, Stacey. Welcome.
Hey, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Tell me where you are in the world.
I'm in Kamloops, BC, Canada. So it's West Coast Canada near Vancouver.
Kamloops. Is that some
Kamloops.
reference or anything? What is it?
It's the English version of an indigenous word that means two rivers, or the meeting of two rivers.
Ah, okay. And I did a little search and think there's over 105,000 people that live in Kamloops.
Is there? I thought we were still like the 90, 95. So that's good to know.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
Is it considered a suburb of Vancouver, or is it just the closest is Vancouver? Is just a big city next to you?
Exactly. People don't really know Kamloops. Surprisingly, a couple people I have met recently in places like Australia randomly have been here, which blows my mind. But I usually say Vancouver because a lot of people are familiar with that. But I'm actually born and raised in the Yukon. So I'm from there. My family's from there. I grew up in Dawson City, a small little gold mine, Klondike Gold Rush um, town, definitely a town. And then the rest. I grew up in Whitehorse as the capital, and my family's all still there. So it's like the Canadian version of Alaska.
Mm-hmm. So what was it like growing up in this area?
I mean, the best. Amazing. I had the happiest childhood. No one had a better childhood than me. Like maybe equally as good, but better is just not possible. It was full of adventure and freedom and play. My mom would whistle, like a sports whistle to have us come home for dinner or for lunch or whatever it was. We would just be running wild as kids, just like a pack in the woods.
Yeah. No locked doors, nothing, just everything
No.
free and
Yes, so free. And there was a little community there, so of course we got to do, the regular school thing and sports. And my parents put me in all the sports. I got to try all of them. And in every sport, I was really, really bad, but I won the most sportsmanlike, award with every team sport I did because I was terrible, but I was fun to hang out with.
you would like rally on the other.
Yeah.
Growing up, then when did you kind of get into some of your like photography was your first kind of passion, right? Or some of the work you did?
Yeah. So my dad actually went to documentary film school for college. So there was always cameras around the house, and it was something that was accessible and played with. It just was a part of our lives. And my mom had this really great point and shoot camera. And I have it. I actually have it over in my office over there. But yeah, it's just always been a part of our life, and I've always loved it. When I worked at a bookstore I started working at a bookstore when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to organize the magazines. So I got to shelve the magazines. Um, I had to take the old ones away and send them back to the supplier. And when you did that, you had to rip the cover of the magazine before sending it back. And I'd always look at this beautiful black and white photography magazine, and it was absolutely magic. And I still remember this one article of this documentary film photographer going to Argentina and photographing tango dancers. And I can still remember the images. And how I shoot now is so similar to that.
Mhm.
I was 14. It's stuck with me.
Are there any photographers that have influenced you, or besides maybe this specific photographer? Is there any other photographers that maybe you are influenced by their work?
All of them, all photographers. I mean, there's a couple that I really admire, but so I have this friend. His name's Juan Guedes, and he's an incredible photographer. He's from Brazil. And he said to me probably 10 years ago now, listen to music you wouldn't normally listen to, look at art you wouldn't normally look at, eat food you wouldn't normally eat, and find something about it that you appreciate. And so that's just what I do. Like whatever the genre, whatever the art, whatever the experience, I'm always inspired and influenced by everyone, by you, Sean. I'm influenced by you.
uh, thank you. The style of what you photograph. Tell me a little bit about that.
Hmm.
What really excites you when you're, because you do more artistic photography, right? You're not just doing
Hmm.
commissioned work where you have to photograph people for certain things, right?
Hmm. So I did that for a long time, the commission work, and that's what I did, my first business, professional photography. And now, though, I like photographing moments. I see the light, I see the emotion. I like things that, are visually appealing, but not necessarily pretty. Because just pretty is kind of boring,
Mm-hmm. Well,
right?
you can't really say what pretty is, because pretty is so many different things. I mean, a
Yeah.
puddle of mud could be pretty to somebody that, and other people might think it's mud, but it's beautiful in what it is. I mean, every creation is has its place.
You know what I already love about this? And this, so we could go down a whole conversation just about this topic, but defining words. And it's so interesting because how you define pretty, I love how you just defined it. And I would define it something so differently.
Hmm.
And that's fascinating to me.
Tell me how you would define
Boring.
it. Please don't ever tell me I'm pretty.
But you know what? Sometimes I like joke, if I do something dumb, which is often, I tell people, like, yeah, but look, I'm pretty. Look how pretty I am. Like it's just like pretty to me is it's nice, it's fine. It's just kind of boring. It's like the thing that's on the surface that's you put out front that's just fine and acceptable, but it's just not very interesting. And you know that there's something more.
Yeah. My co 10 tracks is obviously the podcast and everything, but I have another handle which is called Pretty Vacant Times. And
Huh.
it's obviously in homage to the song by the Sex Pistols, which is one of my favorite bands, but it also is taking that kind of a step further, because I think they were referencing people who are might look on the outside but don't really have anything in the inside. But when you take that kind of vacant times, as in these days, but also I think it was meant to be kind of dark, because I feel like we can find the really non-vacant time of,
Hmm.
we can look for the real moments. So that's kind of why I chose that, to say that we have to find the real moments. Can't just stay in that kind of place.
Sean, man of many layers.
I knew this was gonna go to where I'm gonna lose control of interviewing you, but I didn't know it was gonna be this quick. Okay. let's uh let's get started with your first track. Um, but this is pretty. This is beautiful.
It is. It is.
The Beatles and Here Comes the Sun.
Hmm.
Tell me about
Want me?
this.
All right. Um, my dad introduced me to the Beatles, and I still love them. It was the CD that I stole from home when I moved away. I stole one of a few, is true, from my dad. He is the big music lover in our family, and we would listen to this old big black boxed radio in the basement in his workshop, and we would dance and we would it was just so joyful. And I was young and I still have this really clear memory. And the Beatles have always been a part of that. So there was a couple other songs that I was going to put here too. But the cool thing about the Beatles for me is that I continued to love them as an adult. And now my daughter loves them. And she's 4. She turned 4 yesterday. And this is her favorite song from the Beatles.
Oh, that's nice. It's, I mean, I think I probably was a very young age when I first heard the Beatles because I had an older cousin who was big into the Beatles, Elton John, and a few others. And I remember him giving me his old copy, like he bought a new one because it was so worn. But it still played, and I kept it, of Abbey Road. And of
Hmm.
course, this song. And then the fun fact is that Here Comes the Sun is the most streamed Beatles song on Spotify with 1.5 billion streams.
Get out.
Mm. So you're not
Wow.
alone in loving this song.
Talk about connection.
Um, but it's a nice. You did make a. I'm going to reference this because you
Mm.
you commented that you took your father's CD.
Hmm.
So for
I
those
did.
for those listeners who are probably closer to my age, we had vinyl and then there were CDs. And so Stacey's
Cassettes.
referencing CDs. So
I
it's kind
mean,
of
we had
picking your
cassettes.
age a little bit, Stacey, there we're gonna
I welcome it. I welcome it, my friend. I turned 40 this year and I was so excited to turn 40. I really think this is going to be the best decade yet. And all my friends in their 40s are like, it's amazing. And then my friends in their 50s are like, just wait, it gets even better. So I'm here for that. This I don't
it's
mind.
just starting up, don't worry.
Actually, this is what I hear.
Um, so from photography, you created your business. You first was a photography business, then you created
Hmm.
another business called Pepper.
Hmm.
Tell
So
me about
Pepper,
Pepper.
she's she's Pepper Potts, from Iron Man. She's that, your BFF that gets shit done. So I started Pepper because I wanted to outsource my work as a photographer and I couldn't find anyone that I thought would understand my business. All the other agencies at the time that I found were all very corporate, and I thought, Mike, number one, I don't think they'll understand me. Number two, am I even eligible to be to hire this corporate marketing agency? Like, am I legitimate enough? So I asked my fellow photographers if they were struggling with the same things I was and they were looking to outsource but couldn't find someone. I mean, you can find an individual for certain things, but you couldn't find an agency that could offer you multiple things. And they said yes. So I decided to start it because I
So
wanted
the
it
the
to
agency
exist.
was a network of photographers that could, like, if you say I need this sort of work or can somebody do this project for me, and they would have you could look through to see who could fill that kind of spot.
I mean, that would have been smart too, but this one was a marketing agency. So actually, it started off more administrative, helping you answer emails, respond to inquiries,
Ah, okay.
helping you with your workflows, following up with your clients, with your galleries, things like that, even some public relations. And then we got into the number one thing people asked us to do was social media because that is the first thing that people really actually do want to outsource is their social media. We could talk about that forever. Um, but so it started off, yeah, 4 photographers. In a year and a half, we grew from just myself and one other person to a team of 14 people.
All photographers, or were they in the back end marketers?
Back end marketers. So we were the agency you would hire to outsource your marketing to if you were a photographer.
Yeah,
And it went international. Most of our clients were actually from the US and we're Canadian. We had clients as far as, Iceland, UK,
it's great.
photographers in all industries, mainly weddings. And then COVID happened. And within a week, a week, we lost 75% of our clients because what was canceled? Weddings, photography, in-person events.
Yeah.
So that was wild. So we turned around and launched Conference and Chill, which was one of the world's first virtual photography conferences.
Hmm.
And it was multiple days. It was worldwide. Speakers from everywhere. Fuji Camera was one of our sponsors, and we're just
Sponsors.
like a yes, and we're just like a bunch of nerdy Canadian girls that just going for it. And people said yes. They had no, and we had no right to be asking these people, but they had nothing else better to do, so they said yes. And kept the team together. We did it 5 more times, and yeah, and evolved
Wow.
into the
5
full-fledged
virtual, or did
marketing
you actually
agency.
do any physical, like face-to-face conferences?
I would love to. I would have loved to done the physical, but it was all virtual.
All virtual. Wow.
Hmm.
Pretty cool.
Hmm.
But that's actually great pivot from the situation. So you made lemonade out of the um
Yep.
we get to track 2. This is another badass, Alanis Morissette. This is her first off of her first album, and I think she was 19 when she made this. Hand in My Pocket.
Was she only 19 when she made this?
Hmm.
Wow. Okay, I have to tell you, I feel like now is the time. It was so hard to pick these songs. I'm clicking over just to look at my list. It was so hard to pick, and I could have picked all of them from the 90s, all of them. And I realized I think that was a time where, whether it was starting with cassettes and then quickly for me into CDs, I would actually sit and listen to every song from
Yeah.
start to finish and look at, the what's it called, flap cover thing, paper inside. And I would read the lyrics and I would listen to the music and I would listen to it over and over and over again and then go deeper with it. And I would actually connect with the lyrics. And I feel like now with streaming, I don't know the bands. I don't even know the names of the songs. I hear the music and some of them like really grab me and most of them just don't, unless it's something I'm really familiar with. But I really appreciated this exercise because it actually had me stopping and appreciating the layer of the song or the music or the musician. And I just haven't done that in so long.
It's a lost art, because that was how I got into music when I was, a teenager. You would have the vinyl and you would open it up, and you would just every time you would not see a clear plastic where the record was inside, and you saw paper, and you would open, see lyrics, see pictures, see some special note or something. It was just so cool, and I think um, you would listen to it. And the CD, I think, the CD was a good um, continuation of the vinyl or cassette. Cassettes sometimes didn't have all of the lyrics, but some of them would fold out, and you'd have you could fold it out into 4 pages or something. But having the booklets of the CDs still gave you that, and you did tend to listen in its entirety rather than skipping through or streaming. I think there are some streaming services that you can, while you're listening to one song, follow along with the lyrics, but you're less connected to the band, as I would say. Maybe different people, younger people might find this is a better connection for them, but I think there's less of a connection unless you see them live, and I think that's really the connection you need to have with bands. But it's
I
a good
I would
point.
agree. I would feel the same. I think looking at lyrics digitally is fine, but if I had that piece of paper in front of me, tangible, like tactile, completely different experience.
So Pepper pivoted with conferences, and then you recently, last year, sold
This
Pepper.
last summer.
This last summer, you sold Pepper.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, how was that?
It was hard. It
How long
it's
was it
a
running for?
well, it'll be 7 years old on December 1st.
Wow. Okay, it's still going.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
so you
Yeah.
so then you kind of sold it and kind of left. Did you stay on at all, or you kind of just left completely?
I am available if they need me, but they super do not need me.
You never know.
And it's actually a compliment. It's such a compliment. Pepper was my absolute everything. You know, when you go for something and you feel that click, you're like, there's no question, this is it. And no matter, it doesn't even occur to you to do anything else. You are so all in. You were all in, right? That was Pepper for me. And then even during COVID, and then I had my daughter during that time. And because I'm, a crazy person, let's just add all the layers of COVID, startup life, and new parent. Um, and then over the last couple of years, I just creatively have desired more. And I want to experience my life as fully as possible. And I realized I was no longer all in with
Mhm.
my marketing agency. And I had the best team. They're incredible human beings. They're all women, highly intelligent and skilled and deeply caring people. And the culture is fantastic. The clients were fantastic. The work was super cool, but I wasn't all in like they were. And I felt like the weak link.
I'm find that hard to believe from the time I've known you, but okay. Was it on purpose or was it by coincidence that they were all women working in Pepper, or was it what's the background of that?
It wasn't on purpose at the beginning. It was just the people we were attracting. So Pepper was myself and Kelsey, who's been with me since day one, and now she's in the background helping me with Hey Silly Rebel. So it was us. It was the language. We use things like, fuck yeah and badass. And I feel like most men were like, I don't know if this environment's for me.
You scared them off.
I think maybe. And we just didn't get people, we didn't get men like applying for the jobs. So every now and again, we did, and we tried a couple times, but it just didn't work for very long. And it really just became this very safe place for women to be as ambitious and bold as they want, to practice some things that maybe in a different environment they wouldn't be able to practice. And but to still be human, to still want to, be maybe mothers or have their own side hustle or other passions in their life, but they could be
Mhm.
fully ambitious and embraced exactly as they were at Pepper.
And so now, is Pepper doing more or less the same work that you started with them, or are they doing virtual conferences or anything like that?
No, we stopped doing virtual conferences a couple of years ago, but now it's just your, regular marketing agency, digital marketing, creative marketing, mostly organic. So like things like actually photography, social
Mhm.
media, newsletters, websites, branding, the regular stuff. It is still an all-women team. The new owner is fantastic. They want to remain anonymous because they want the team to still be the face of Pepper. That was the whole point. But leaving was bittersweet. It feels like an accomplishment because I set it up to not need me, to run completely without me. So systems and processes and team members, structure, everything as the owner to be able to step out after 6.5 years and not be needed, I think is such a huge win. But it's still a bit emotional because we were all so close knit.
I wonder if there's a little bit of this, like, there's kind of this saying, the first house is for your enemy, the second house is for your friend, and the third house is for you. If you buy and sell, have
Oh,
multiple houses. So I don't know if this was something, maybe this is for your friend, or this was kind of your first kind of go round, and then this is when you, even though it was still hard to let go or to leave, maybe this, it was part of the whole process that you had to go through.
oh, Sean. And you know me from another part of our life, but now you're going to make me cry. It's fine. I feel like this one was for my
You
friends,
can
from,
cry on the podcast. It's
yeah,
okay, but
thanks, man. Yeah.
we
Next one's for me.
we get to track three.
Mm.
This is Oasis, who are, I don't know if they're playing in Canada, but I know they were just in the States. I think on this world tour they're doing. Maybe they had some dates in Canada. I think maybe on the East Coast. But this is again in the '90s. you're staying with us
Mm-hmm.
on Wonderwall.
Mm-hmm. So Alanis Morissette for me was, that person. She was just so freaking cool, and I knew all of her songs. And then Oasis, there's just a couple of them that really stuck with me, which was Wonderwall and Champagne Supernova was on there. But Wonderwall for me, I just have this moment in my life where with one of my high school closest friends, Thomas Usher, we were singing as loud as we possibly could in a school dance to this song. And it's such a moment of pure fun, like true fun for me. I have that feeling every time I hear this song.
This is it's a great song, and I really I have a lot of respect for Noel Gallagher, who wrote this and kind of behind a lot of the music from Oasis. Um, but I remember hearing this when Oasis came out. I was in the UK. I was living in London at the time. So if you think about Britpop and all of that kind of scene that came out of the '90s from the UK, it was great to experience it kind of in real time with a lot of those bands that came from there: Blur, Oasis, Pulp,
Oh, yes. Yes.
Suede. So it was really cool because that was kind of music I'm big into, and so seeing that and I think I told the story to somebody else on the podcast, but one night I was in central London trying to get maybe from where I was going to another part. I was on Regent Street, if you know London. It's between Oxford Circus and Piccadilly Circus Road.
Mm.
Um, and I'm walking. There's not many people. It was that late. Maybe it was 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And so there's not a lot of people around. And as I'm walking, this guy is walking past me, and it was cold, and I had like a bigger kind of winter coat on. And he has this little zip leather jacket, and he looks like he's freezing, this little skinny guy. And it was Noel Gallagher. And it kind of like, of course, I looked up at him, and he kind of looked at me, but he realized I don't know who that is. And I looked at him like, I know who that is. And then we just carried on. I didn't say anything to him. We just made eye contact and then carried on. So it was quite a
That's
surreal
so
moment.
cool.
Yeah. But in London, you can bump into quite a lot of, famous or infamous people. So now I'm going to give you one music fact on this. So
Mm.
obviously the first song, Here Comes the Sun, was written by George Harrison of the Beatles. The title Wonderwall comes from George Harrison's Wonderwall music from 1968.
No
So
way.
there's already a connection with. You can do what you want with it. It's free.
But this is going to give me goosebumps because I made this list and then I had to even look up some of like the exact titles and the band names. Like some of them I was like, no question. But it was more of, again, like hearing that song and then it was a moment and a feeling. And then when I made the list, I realized this is who I am right now, are these things. You know, um, Here Comes the Sun for me is just like about family. For me, it's like my family and, happiness. I think many of the songs that I picked are about, doing it your own way and like rebellion. And, even though it might be painful, you can't help yourself but to be authentic and just to go for it. But then also so much joy and pure fun and happiness. And it's so funny looking at this and some of the interesting stories behind some of these bands or songs. I'm like, I did not even on purpose. I'm like, this is my life right here.
Tell me about Hey Silly Rebel. How did
That's
you come
it's
up with the name?
Okay, truth time. That name, Silly Rebel, came from a Spotify. What do they call them? I just recently moved off Spotify for, I'm sure, reasons that people can guess.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, what do they call them? Rewinds, like the year recap
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Something like that,
And
yeah.
right, and it was all the songs like, oh, if we were to call your flavor of music that you like, it would be Silly Rebel.
Okay.
I'm like, that's true. That is me. That is my life because it's, rebel, like do it your own way, and it might not be popular, it might not be the thing that's trendy right now, it might just like be really super uncool, but again, you just can't help yourself. It's like a creative expression you can't help but express whatever that is for you. And then the silly is like, I still want to have fun and I still want it to be light and joyful. Like it doesn't have to be angry. It doesn't have to be heavy and hard all the time. It can still be pure joy and fun, but also, do the shit you want to do.
Yeah. I think that's the one thing that in a lot of the different jobs and work that I've done is like, if you're not having fun, if you're not, I just had a stakeholder meeting where I was physically in, we were trying to do it virtually, but there was some issues with the technology, but we were able to connect my partners in the team on at least like streaming. So they were on camera at home and I was in the room, and we had about maybe 40 people in the room. This was in Helsinki, Finland.
Mm.
And while I'm talking, I'm speaking to the audience, but also for the recording. And then my business partner, he was on speaking. He's French but lives in Spain, and so he was kind of going through. He's more the content person, so to shout out to Pascal if he's listening. But I sent him sort of a note because he had on one of his festival shirts, because we create this health festival in Finland.
So cool.
And so he had a very festival shirt, whereas I was probably less festival looking, but more animated, maybe. Good or bad. I'm not saying this is a positive thing. Whereas he then was still serious about the content and what he's talking about, because he's in charge of all the content. So it's serious, important stuff. And I was like, smile a little, smile a little. And he does, we get on really well, and it's he does smile a lot, but it was more of, I felt like he was just on camera by himself, whereas if he was in the room, I think he would feel the energy of the people. And sometimes I feel like that's when you're on these Zoom calls or stuff, you don't get to have that connection directly with people.
What's so interesting about that? I agree with you, but at the same time, okay, so I met a Buddhist nun recently.
Okay. It almost sounds the start of a joke, but
right.
Okay.
Surprisingly, she sat next to me on an airplane, and I actually saw her in the airport earlier, and I was like, who is that human being? I'd be so curious to speak with them. But same thing, you don't bother people in public. You respect their privacy and that stuff. But she ended up sitting next to me on the plane, and we talked for like 3.5 hours. And a takeaway I got from her was the essence in what she believed is the essence of every person is love. So if that is your essence, if that is who you are, or whatever that looks like for you, like even if you're in a room or not in a room or in Zoom, if that essence in you is like light or joy or love or whatever, however that looks like for you, like even though it might not be the environment, you still have it within you and you can still bring that. So even if I'm in a room with a bunch of big dull duds, I can still
You
bring
bring the
my
sunshine.
yes,
Exactly.
right? Yeah, you can still
Yeah.
just choose to do that if that's what you want.
And I have been on some calls work related where sometimes, and in all fairness to some Finnish people, they're very kind of quiet and um I think they're lovely people, and so once you get to know them, they definitely loosen up, but they tend to be a little bit quiet. So sometimes I can look. I would never say they're cold, but sometimes it just
Mhm.
seems like they're very serious, or just you don't know what they're thinking. Whereas a lot of times when you talk to somebody, you kind of can tell, okay, I'm following this, or but sometimes with them, you don't know if they're following you or where they're going.
Are
But they
we
don't look like they're
vibing or
distracted. They're not
yeah.
like doing emails. They're very much just staring at you. And you're like, okay, this is a tough crowd. I'm really not getting, I don't know if I'm getting through to them. But then they will ask, and they don't ask a lot of questions and stuff. And I think culturally, I've been in situations because I've worked, for global companies. And so, you've been in these where a lot of times it is that kind of similar to maybe this Finnish vibe. So sometimes you have to just kind of feel out where, and then afterwards they'll come up to you and ask you a lot of questions and more one-to-one. But
Mm,
in a group, they're maybe a little bit shyer to stand out or to kind of, and then there's always one who will, but occasionally, if you get a group of most of them that are just like dead quiet, it kind
mm.
of can put you into like, okay, where's this
That's
going?
hard. But you
Yeah.
know what? You are a light human being. Like you're obviously, and I knew this about you immediately, like very intelligent. You know what you're talking about. You ask great questions. But you're also you have this lightness and warmth and, approachability. Do you think though that even if that group or that environment isn't like that, but do you think they're attracted to you because you are like that? I think because people want more of that in their life, even if they don't express it themselves. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I think that I don't think people want expect to have the most knowledgeable person or trying to be that. I think that's because I would never. I know that I'm not. Going into situations, especially when we're working with clinicians or technical people, I am definitely the least technical or clinical person in there. But sometimes it's not even about asking the right questions. It's just about connecting people in finding those places where what they like and and I know a lot of times people would like use me as a connector, and that's kind of where I feel like that maybe is more my strength. It's not
Mm.
about like if we talk about one topic and be like, oh, this topic is so important because of this. I'm like snooze fest. But knowing that that topic's important to you, and then I go and meet somebody else who's told me about it, and then I connect you to that person because, hey, hang on a second, I think there, and I see some synergy, in kind of how this could be. I was on a call yesterday and this guy was telling me stuff. I was like, are you working with this other company? And he was like, we know them. I was like, there's so much like that you could be doing. And again, deeply, I don't know their business models that, I wouldn't be able to take over that position, but enough to kind of I see some value of you two working together. So maybe sometimes people can feel that and know that there's a place for everything, but you need to do it with
Mm.
laughter and kind of fun because you can't take too serious.
And just the way you described that, it made me feel safe. And I think someone that gives that energy that's invaluable.
We get to track 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I loved you pick this song because I really I've been a big fan of hers since probably I was a teenager. That's when I first got kind of heard, and this was probably one of the first songs I heard. Like a friend had put it on at his house. Might have been CD or might have been vinyl. I don't remember, but it was in the border time. Um, Billie
The
Holiday,
border time.
God Bless the Child.
This was also, I think it may have been my first song by hers as well that I heard. I love that you talked about where you think you heard it first, because I wasn't sure. I was thinking, like, how did I hear about, how was I a teen? I was also a teenager, a young
You
teenager.
were a teenager too?
Yes, but yeah, at one point. Um, but I think I was like 14 or 15 when I discovered her. And how would a 14 or 15-year-old discover Billie Holiday? And how did I do that?
Yeah.
Because it definitely wasn't introduced to me by a friend or my family. And I think it was actually at this music store where you could wander in and they would let you open up, see, it was CDs, let you open up CDs and try music. And there was this guy there and he kept just letting me listen to all the CDs. And then I would buy a couple, right? And I think it was
Mm-hmm.
there. And this song, like she's magnificent. Her voice is like it's just a standalone. And then her music also introduced me to Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, and then I got into Nina Simone, and it was just I was just obsessed. Chet Baker. You know Chet Baker
Mm-mm.
is
Chet
not
Baker.
yeah Chet Baker.
Chet Baker. Yeah,
Sorry, yeah
of
Chet
course.
Baker. I said Chet. Um, and I just like fell in love with that whole genre. But this song I loved it. So that's like the story behind it was, her Billie asked her mom for money and her mom said no.
Yeah.
Right. So and then I put the note here. And so apparently she shot back, God bless the child that's got his own. And then she wrote the song around that line and that argument with her mom. And for me, it's so relevant then and, being a woman and want like really having this huge, massive desire for freedom, freedom of choice, autonomy, like making decisions for myself, for my life, for what I want. And it's interesting because I've made very many big mistakes that were not in alignment with that. But the songs always kind of stuck around. It's so interesting that the reason for the story and the messaging, some of the messaging behind it was that, and it's still with me today. I still love
It
this
it
song.
it almost sounds like to me it could be part of your blueprint for your new business now, which is around money mindset and coaching.
Exactly. Mostly with women. Men are welcome if they're brave enough. You know,
Okay.
I have a few. I do have a few men that work with me, but it's women generally, money mindset and business.
Explain to me the what do you think women's relationship with money is, or do you feel like they are, does it start from maybe as a child and how they see their parents with the way that money was kind of dispersed, or how it was controlled, so to speak?
I think it's so fascinating to me. So this is, I'm going to say it's not just for women, but I like working with women because I really understand some of the extra layers that we could experience. So for, yes, absolutely, it can definitely stem from childhood, but think of some of the power imbalances maybe your parents had,
Hmm.
right? Or maybe they're not imbalances because one had power in this area and the other one had power in the other. But generally, when it came to money and making decisions around money or money beliefs, money story, a lot of it came from, your parents and probably more your father or the person
Okay.
that made the more money or had more of the power. And I think, historically, money conversations just weren't as available to women. Now it's definitely gotten a lot better. But for example, my mom, who's turning 70 this year, when she first met my dad, her credit rating became his credit rating when they got married. So when they first met, separate bank accounts, but when they got married, her credit rating became his. He got her rating. But it wouldn't have
Yeah.
happened right. And then she couldn't take out a loan without him, even though it was her credit rating and her bank account and it was her money in there and he was
Yeah.
added to it. So she couldn't take it out, anything out without him, but he could without her.
Yeah. That's I actually was listening to it was a podcast a couple of days ago, and I was kind of skimming through it, and it's one that I'd heard before, but it was with an artist from the '60s. She's still around, but this was talking about her life when she was very kind of famous and probably making quite a lot of money as a singer back in the '60s. She got married and had to sign everything over to her husband, and even the interviewer, who's a broadcaster on the radio, was basically saying, "Why did you do that?" Thinking she's a woman of today compared to this artist from the '60s, and she goes, "Because I had to. That was what it. You just, And it was almost like her parents was trying to control her because when she was a teenager, when she started, because she started quite young. I think she was maybe 16 or 18, but then she finally got free. But then as soon as she got married, it went to her husband,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, even I know some of Nina Simone's story. Her husband was a manager and controlled her, really controlled her until she finally, you know, broke free. But it was a very possessive and scary and
Mm-hmm.
not a good thing. But
So think about that then. If that was a part of your story or your parents' story, and then what are the lessons that maybe that you learned unconsciously? And it is about safety and security. And even just some stories like as simple as, and I mean, I love my family. My dad's awesome. But my brother made a comment this summer. It was a guy wearing, like a designer sweater. And he's like, "Oh, look at that guy. What a wanker." I was like, "Oh." So if you have money, it means you're not a good person. So it means, so if you work hard and you don't make too much, but enough, so you're respectable and you're a really hard worker, but don't be wealthy because wealthy people aren't good people. So if you're trying to make money and this is the story in the back of your mind,
mm,
What are some decisions that you're making that you're not even aware of, that you're literally pushing money away or saying or downplaying yourself, or giving over promotions or asking for more because you don't want to be a bad person. Saying that you have to be poor to be a good person. I mean, like you can have any amount of money or not have any money in the world and be a good or bad person.
Do you ever feel like if you make a very generous purchase or something, that sometimes you feel a little bit of strange or embarrassment or something? I mean, not houses or property, but when it
Mm,
comes to something personal, or it could be jewelry or a car,
mm.
that could be seen because it might seem a little bit um, too luxury or something. Do you ever feel like maybe that's you have to, because I think some people don't. They just like they think this is something and I really want that and I can afford that. It's not because you're doing it because you can't afford it and you trying to look pretend or something, but maybe it could feel a little because it's outside. Somebody who doesn't have money and then has money, and then they decide to say, well, I'm going to upgrade my car because I had this old car and now I want something a little bit more luxury, whatever it is, any brand.
Mm.
Unless we get a sponsor, then maybe we'll say that brand, but
Yes.
um particular,
We should manifest it. Which
Mercedes,
one? Which one do you
BMW,
want?
Cadillac, whoever. I don't know.
Yes.
Depends on
Cadillac
which
would be
continent
great.
we're on. But no, but I think it's just in general, like having that sort of um, possibly where you might feel a little, oh, it could be even maybe for women a handbag that's quite a luxury brand or something, and then feeling that people know because they know what that is, or that costs money or something.
I think that there are so many reasons why someone could feel that emotion and the story behind that. So a couple that immediately come to mind is it could be self-worth, like that feeling of almost depression and isolation, and I am not the type of woman or type of person, or I don't have this high value of human beingness that other people do when they own this item. Right? So they feel like I'm purchasing something that is like part of a club I don't actually belong to, and that can feel really depressing.
Mm-hmm.
And you purchase it, but it doesn't feel real, like you're pretending and that you're this big imposter. And if people look at you, are they going to see that you're the imposter behind this handbag, let's say?
Mm-hmm.
Or it could just be, scarcity because you fear. Like even no matter how much money I make, it never feels like enough and I never feel safe enough and I always need more. And the thought of purchasing something that is expensive or fancy or luxury feels so irresponsible, even though I can actually do it. But I feel more anxiety than joy about buying it.
Right.
And it could even be that I'm worried someone's going to look at it and think I'm a wanker. I'm no longer part of the club. My family or my friends or my network are going to say like you're no longer one of us, and out you go. You're no longer part of the
And there
group.
are some people though that are, and I've listened to some of these. I don't remember exactly which where I heard it from, but they talk about money as energy and flow. So it doesn't
Mhm.
matter necessarily or specifically what you're purchasing, but the money's coming in, the money's going out, and then the money's coming back in. So it's kind of
Mhm.
you keep circling this energy. You don't have to buy a I don't know, a $50,000 dollar or euro watch or something crazy, but you can still whatever you're doing is can will flow because it's energy. So I think sometimes looking at money, and I think a lot of people, so many people put this kind of stress and emphasis on it, um,
Mhm.
even when it's like buying an overpriced cup of tea or coffee.
I think that's fantastic. I'm definitely one of those people that says energy is money, and and you're also on a practical way, you're also contributing to the economy. And if you're purchasing an item from an artisan or someone local or an actual that feels like a person,
Yeah.
you're really sponsoring that person to continue creating this beautiful item or items or products.
We have some
It's
local shops where we are here in France, and I prefer to go to those shops. and buy from them because they're local, and it's actually they're putting a lot of more effort into bringing this to you, and it's something that's kind of a loss, almost like this tradition is going away. So by being able to still support them, it means so much, and it's local. Doesn't mean bigger supermarkets or places where you have to go
Hmm.
for this or that, but I think I prefer when you can kind of shop local because and know where the things are coming from and how it gets to you. So it's always more
Yes.
special.
And especially with the work that you do on the side, I'm sorry, I'm like totally taking us off on a tangent. But then if you support local for all the reasons we just discussed, but then also supporting the brick and mortar businesses to be open in the community you live in to keep your city vibrant and then therefore safe. So you walk around, you're like, oh, I know this person, I know that person. Like we live in the same city, the same community, the same neighborhood. And then there's people and there's life and there's safety in that too. And if these businesses start closing and I send my daughter as she gets older down the street for something, I'm like, I don't know anyone from here to 4 blocks away. That's terrifying. I don't
Hmm.
even know my neighbor. Like it's healthy cities I think also include
Yeah, for sure.
vibrant communities.
Community is the key for healthy cities, and to have a vibrant but also working together. It's not just there's no silos and stuff. And then sometimes you have more extremes, like in countries like Denmark, where you know I think your neighbors will tell you if you're not cutting your grass or doing things to keep it tidy and nice, and fix your mailbox. It looks really scruffy, or repaint it. um, we get to track 5, and I
Mm.
mentioned to you earlier that I'm not as familiar with her, um, but I know her by name and maybe one of her other songs, Sarah McLachlan. This is called Building a Mystery. But hearing
Hmm.
this song from your list, she's a bit of a badass.
She is, and she is an angel, a living angel. She's beautiful as a human being and as an artist. She's Canadian also, which I love. She was one of the co-founders of Lilith Fair. Do you remember that from back in the day? Lilith Fair is a bunch of female artists that came together, similar music. Alanis Morissette would have been there. A Sheryl Crow era, right? Back then. But Sarah McLachlan to me is magic.
Mhm.
It makes me think of Lilith Fair, which I almost got to, and it's one of my biggest regrets. And I don't have very many in life, but I regret not being able to go to that. It was so close, and it's that feeling of yeah, connectedness, and so real and emotional, and still a badass.
The song is very melodic and
Hmm.
obviously very. It sounds like she's referring to this beautiful person that she loves, or so, but still kind of like there was some uh like I think at the time for radio it was a little bit because she just kind of beautiful effed up man, which I think is
Yes.
sums up probably a lot of men. Why mix your words when you just say it clearly and directly? Like, um, how does that song resonate with you?
It's life. It's real. It's just very real.
This
It's just
I saw something that she says that people who hide their true selves behind carefully crafted images. I think she was when she was referring to the song, what it's about. So I think, do you see that a lot in your work in particular?
I think it's so interesting you asked that because in my work, when people get to me, it's that part's 99% gone already. I think I'm really lucky. I'm in the position where I get to know people that the layer beneath.
Mhm.
But I think sometimes as an industry, when you're networking, a lot of you do feel that facade, but I like tapping at it. If I meet you and you're a hard case, I mean, I accept this challenge.
So you take that on as and not just move on from
Right?
that obstacle.
Yes. 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 This will be great. I'm very curious about you. Yeah.
That song is also from 1997, so still in
See,
the 90s.
90s.
Yeah. Um, we get to track 6. This was pretty cool because when I first heard it, they sounded almost like the Black Keys a little bit. I was kind of like,
Mm.
okay, this has an interesting, his voice kind of had that gravel. And I really liked it, but I wasn't that familiar with them, but it sounded familiar. And I think the only band that I can think of was the Black Keys that I know and like.
Mm.
Then I kind of did some digging. The band's Kaleo.
I think it's, yeah,
Kaleo.
Kaleo. Oh, Kaleo. Yeah.
Sorry,
I think.
Kaleo.
Well, we'll find someone will tell us.
They're Icelandic. But very kind of bluesy rock and pretty heavy. This song's called No
Mhm.
Good.
Ah, it's so good. It's so good. So this song came into my life via the radio in my car. And I think I was either going to or coming from a wedding that I was shooting. And it caught me instantly. And I was obsessed instantly. It feels like I was saying earlier, like you cannot help yourself. It's no good to resist. You're going to be and do exactly who you like you're going to be and do exactly what you want, who you are. And it might hurt, but you're going to do it anyway. And it feels rebellious, but also empowering, and it just makes me feel awesome every time I hear it. And I was even at that time as a photographer, if you're shooting boudoir, you have to use this lens. If you're shooting weddings, you need to do these shots and these moments with these lenses. And I always resisted that. I'm like, well, that's boring.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's boring. I don't want to use that lens and capture that exact same moment that everybody else captures. And whenever I hear this song, it just lights up my creative soul to just do it, to just do the crazy thing that I want to do, even if it's going to be awful.
Are you still working with photography now?
I, st- I still am a photographer, so people still hire me quietly. I don't advertise it, but I shot a wedding in Denmark this summer
Okay.
with a friend. New York a couple of years ago. Across Canada, Florence. So I've traveled a lot of different places shooting, and it's still a part of who I am. And I still shoot almost every day. I have this little Fuji X half,
Mm-hmm.
and anyone that knows it will be, uh, they might make fun of me because it's a very overpriced camera for
Okay.
what it is, but it's really, really fun. It has these little film emulations in the back. So if I turn it on, I don't know if you guys can see this, but it has all the different films like a film camera would. And it's just a little high res JPEG point and shoot. And it's instead of bringing out your phone, you pull out a real
Ah,
camera because it's teeny tiny,
yeah,
right? Look
yeah,
at this thing. So then I leave my
yeah.
phone alone. I don't touch it, and I'm just creating. I've been creating so much with this, but I still shoot for money when I decide to. I get asked quite a bit still, but I shoot every day creatively.
Mm-hmm. And what do you prefer to shoot? Do you want to people, or do you prefer to just do scenes where people could be in the scene, but not necessarily like close-ups?
I like both. I like street photography. I love with, beautiful light, and I love people and moments. I like some portrait photography, but more if we were like hanging out, like if we were hanging out in person, I for sure would have photographed you at some point.
Okay.
Because we'd just be
Mm.
hanging out, there'd be something interesting, a light, and it wouldn't be, don't look at the camera and smile. Like it's it's not just it's capturing the moment. People are always interesting.
When you're looking at magazines, are you more focused on the image and how they shot it and what what it took, or are you just kind of continuing?
Always. Always looking at images. I'm always location scouting. Even right now on Zoom, I notice immediately the lighting. I love the side light. Excellent. I'm into it. Composition is part of everyday life. every day. I can't. It's just a part of who I am.
There's a guy that I came across on I think he's on Instagram only, but he's called the Satorio, and I think he might be American, but
Mm.
he lives in Florence, and so
Mm.
he just would snap people every day, men and women, usually what they're dressed and how they're what they're wearing, but kind of just street photos of them,
Hmm.
and just like, can I take a picture, and he just takes it and just then goes on. But it's just that moment in time of that person in their kind of their life. But it's interesting because wherever the background takes him, but it's all usually around Florence. But I found it interesting just because he's, and it's not one style. He's going, it's not, I only take people who are goths or something like that. It's very much a mixture of different types of people in there and their personality, their, who they are and how they dress and things, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh, you need to send that to me if you're into that kind of stuff. One of my favorites is Facundo Santana. I think it's just Facu, Facu, on Instagram for his street stuff, and he's funny. It's creative, and it's beautiful, but hilarious.
Mm.
It's just very quirky, and he captures these moments that are, yeah, they're funny. They're great.
We get to track 7. Another badass.
Mm-hmm,
Florence
mm-hmm,
and the
mm-hmm,
Machine.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This is Dog Days Are Over.
What do you think of this song?
It's probably been on one of my gym playlist rotations or car jam for road trips or party. Like, when we have a kind of more festive, neat songs to kind of play to, we usually have this in rotation because it stays on those playlists. It's probably on about 20 of my playlists, and I probably have about 100 playlists. So but it's quite a it's just a great song. I love the how it builds up and keeps going. Super cool.
So when you listen to music, and then I'll share why I picked this one, but when you listen to music, do you listen for the sound and the beat and how it makes you feel, or are you a person that really listens to the lyrics? How do you experience songs?
I had this conversation with somebody yesterday, and I asked that question to them. But I think I'm always lyrics first, but I do.
Mm.
I mean, they could be banging trash cans, and if they're saying something really important or that touches my soul, then even if they have the worst voice, I still it means so much to me because it's what they're saying. So it's important. So I think I've always been more lyrics and voice, but you can't. I mean, I think the music itself is important. So I wouldn't never underestimate or diminish, the artists who make the music and the songs, because I think they have to. When they come together like it should be, then it's the most amazing thing. But I do probably like the words first.
I can see this. You're a poet.
uh, what is your take on it then?
I want to be the lyric person. I do. By hearing you talk about it, I'm just, man, I wish I was that cool. I listen to the music and the words come through for me, but I don't always get the full story. Which was why it was so great actually for this exercise to really look at that. I'm like, man, this is so in alignment because I hear the song, hear the music first, how it makes me feel. Does it feel fresh or does it just feel soulless? And then the chorus, of course, I hear the words and do I align with those? And then maybe I look at the rest of the lyrics, but I don't even really fully hear them. I could be singing along. I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm singing along. It makes me feel good. But this one had more of the words that came through for me. And so this was my song choice when I was with Pepper, and we put together a Pepper playlist of like all our favorite songs. And all the
Mm-hmm.
girls are like way cooler than me. They had like the cool modern songs. And I don't know who those people are, and this was mine. And for me, this was, about like releasing the, this is the theme, really the releasing the old, releasing the pain,
Yep.
the burnout, the hardship, the old story, releasing it. And realizing I actually do get to be happy. I get to choose that in my life. And it's the dog days are over, but the music makes me feel like honoring that, but choosing to move on.
Yeah. I think you summarized it pretty accurate. I would say that, and I think that's the beauty of this song, because whenever you in that rut, or you just think, look how far you've come, look where you were and now where you are. And so this just kind of says, you might have a bad day today, but the dog days are over. That's you're not falling back into whatever it was maybe you were. And that's maybe my interpretation of it. I think this is it's more than just hope. I think I feel like it's kind of like you're moving into this new person. Like now you're there. And so it's a badass song. I mean, I think if a guy would have sung this or wrote this, I think it would have been good, but I don't know if it would have had as much strength as Florence's voice and Florence, her words doing this. But,
Because it feels like a celebration,
yeah,
and also the honoring of the depth of it, of those things.
exactly. I have one interesting question that I researched about you, and I want to see. Tell me what this is. It's about maybe when you were younger, and a certain place you lived. Obviously in Kamloops, I think.
Yeah, or it could, I mean, younger. Oh.
Well, it wasn't a traditional house that you lived
in. Friends, I lived in a garage with no running water for 5 years.
Now, just as sidebar, Henry Rollins, if you know who Henry Rollins is, he was the singer for Black Flag, and he's done movies, but he's kind of this hardcore punk rock kind of guy. His early years in the band Black Flag, he lived in basically a garage, and he used to write. He's got tons of books too, so he's a writer and a musician and stuff, and so he would write from that. So it was more of my curiosity because of him thinking, okay, did this trigger or also help you with a lot of your creative flow by doing that?
I love that you asked that question, and I've never thought of it that way. You know what's so interesting? So it was with my ex-husband, and it was an abusive relationship. We were together for 13 and a half years, and we lived in this garage. And so we bought 20 acres. We lived in an RV first, cleared the land, built the garage, moved into the garage, and started building this beautiful house. And I hated that house. I hated it. I didn't like living in a garage, but the house felt like it owned us. And this project for years, it was like the priority, and everything had to be put by the wayside to build this thing. And at the end, I could care less about it. And I never again wanted a thing to own me.
Right.
Or a thing to dictate my life and how I could spend my time. And if it impacted me creatively, I would say, I mean, it still takes very little, whether this is, not a great thing to admit or not. It takes very little for me to feel appreciation. And even still, when I shower, I'm like, this is magnificent. My dishwasher is magic, you know? I still feel so much appreciation for such simple things because I did not have them for a while. So I think maybe creatively then, maybe I'm lucky that I get to sense the joy in creative things and quicker, or easily, and maybe take the time to recognize those things when maybe other people are just busy living their life.
What's important to you now?
Freedom, curiosity, joy, and respect.
What's freedom mean to you?
Freedom to be whoever I want to be. And that's not me. So when I say that, it's not even about becoming someone new. I really believe it's about allowing who you already are on the inside out. And I think as we get older, you can tell me if you feel this, that you become more, you allow yourself to be more of yourself.
Mhm.
And I think we can be inspired and influenced and all those great things from outside sources, but at the end of the day, it's still you, and who you are now is always in you, and who you're going to become is already in you.
Yeah.
And I think the freedom to be able to choose the genuine version of you is what's important to me.
Love that. True. We get to track 8.
Mm-hmm.
This is the White Stripes, Seven Nation Army.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a playlist too,
Right. It's a good one.
for sure.
It's the same. It's very, it's like a, I didn't realize it until after putting this list together, but it's that similar thread of, I'm not here to please you. I'm here to do what I came to do. It's about individual power. And this song, every time I hear it, it makes me feel all those things. But in like a great way, you know. I listen to the song a lot. It comes on often. It's in my life. And every time it comes on, I'm like, yes, thank you.
I mean, to be honest, this is probably one of those songs where I couldn't care less what he says. When you hear that beat in the intro, it's just like, it just takes you there. And so I
Mhm.
do. I mean, I like the lyrics as well, but I don't find them profound. But I feel like it
No,
kind of is to the point. But the song itself just has that. It it gives you that raw emotion, which is um, so important.
it's just
Let me think.
simple.
Yeah. I think that's also with different types of music. Like when I was younger, I got into punk. And for me, punk was not so much about they write the most beautiful music or the most beautiful words, but it was just that energy and using the energy. Sometimes it was destructive, but a lot of time it was an outlet, and you could really hear the rawness. And there were some that were just perfect, and that was a short, you know maybe 2 minutes of noise to most people, but from that it's triggered so many, it inspired so many different artists to create Nirvana, to create all these other
Mm.
bands, which took that 2 minute energy and it fed their soul to create whatever. So there's always a place for all of this somewhere.
Very cool. I'd love to see punk version you.
We'll leave that to Todd. I think he can he projects it better than I do.
I think we would be surprised. I think this would be delightful. I'd love to see this.
It's just a white t-shirt in maybe dirty jeans. It's kind of that's punk. And unfortunately, it's not shaving my head. It's just this is the head as it is now. Um, we get to track 9. Now this I was thinking about this song.
Mm.
Kind of sticking to the West Coast, although these I think they are from the US. They're not Canadian, are they?
They are from Alaska.
They're from Alaska. Okay. But so this is Portugal dot the man. I would love to speak to them and just ask them what that dot really is, the importance of the dot after Portugal in there. But it's a great song. Feel it still.
Yeah. I mean, I want to know why the dot too. Yeah, we should ask them. You
Yeah.
should just invite these people to come on your podcast.
I'll have to get my assistant to kind of work on that. Oh, that's me. Okay, let
Yeah,
me.
see, I believe in you. Just try. You never know. People say yes to odd things.
Hmm. So tell me about this song.
The songs, it's like we were saying, I'm the music person. I feel the music, and this song makes me makes me feel like dancing. I think the first time I heard it maybe was actually when I was shooting a wedding. I'm not even sure, but I think so. But it's again, it's like the little like rebellion. It's a rebellious side to it. I listen to this when things feel heavy because I feel like you don't want to look away from the things that are happening in the world.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you need to live your life the best that you can. And I feel like that this song is like that. And I feel like this band is like that. It's a bit political. It talks about the heaviness of the world, but still in a way where like I can hold both of these emotions. I can still feel like dancing and enjoying my life, but still be aware and not look away from the hard things that are happening.
Yeah, exactly. I think that there's also the line that he rhymes, I think with kicks, which is 1986. And I think that to
Hmm.
me was like, okay, somebody's referencing a time that I was a part of and that I was involved in. So that I love that
Oh,
line. Because
how were you
1986
in?
was a good year for me. So I remember being young and music was important. So that was it's a good reference when he kind of, you know, calls that out.
What does that mean for you? 1986.
It's probably just a time that year was a lot of different music that I must have seen live and really kind of maybe flowered, so to speak, with music. There was because I
Hmm.
think it was a crossover between having a broader scope because maybe I had early roots rocks music from uh, my influences from cousins that were older with like the Beatles that I mentioned, getting Abbey Road or something and Elton John records and this and that. And then having that late early 80s where maybe Prince, Michael Jackson, and music that was more radio or heavy rock, and then getting into punk probably like 82. And then by 86 there was a more, you had some of the pop 80s, um, or new romantics and things like that. And then you had, I guess, as rap and some other genres were coming into the mix, by then it was just, there was a lot more. So I think 86 it was quite a good year for music. So that's why to me it was like, it's a good reference.
So interesting. Hmm.
But they're from Alaska.
From Alaska. I need to expand. I need to expand from the West Coast. I need some new music. I need some recommendations.
um, we get to track 10.
Hmm.
Now I know the original song,
Hmm.
but then this is kind of a band Wookie,
I think it's Wookiee.
Wookie, Sunshine.
Yep, not deep at all. At all. This song has it's in its simplicity, it is glorious and I love it. It is on repeat in my car. This is my this year song. And, selling the marketing agency, a lot of emotions involved in that. Allowing myself to be in the process of being in the process this year is, that's been my theme. And that's hard to do when you're a doer. And this song is like just fun. It is just light. It's the permission to say, like, hey, you know what? Just have a great day today.
Do you listen to music mostly when you're by yourself, or is it on constant, like at home with family and everybody?
I listen to music a lot with family at home. It's on, but they're more Sola's choices. And my partner, who loves music, music lover. He plays, guitar. They both acoustic and electric, and piano and drums, and is in his little garage band, like high school garage band esque style, which is cool.
Hmm.
And so he's such a music lover. Usually he's playing music, which is not bad because he likes a lot of the 90s, which is fun.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't really get to listen to too much of the music just for me very often. So it's more when I'm in the car is probably when I'm listening to it the most. Sometimes at work, I read a lot, so I love audiobooks, I love podcasts, I love, talk radio. My brain's just engaged and intrigued with the conversations. But music is mostly when I'm in the car. It's my little quiet time, but again, I can sing really loud and I'm in movement.
Yeah. So what's next for you?
So many things. So many things.
Any that you can share?
I am working on the articulation of these things. So, ending out the year, going to not Ireland, what am I saying? Italy, actually next Tuesday, flying into Rome.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That
Doing a
sounds
little
lovely.
family sabbatical, so it's going to be great. Uh, Personal life wise, like I said, excited for the 40s. I think just getting really comfortable. I feel like I'm at this cliff's edge. I'm looking back there at the old version. I think I've shared this with you. I'm pretty sure. And there's
Mhm.
like the new version. She's on the other side of this cliff, but you're kind of towing it. Yeah. That's what's next for me is going over the cliff.
And is there any hesitation? Or are you ready to go?
There's still a little bit of hesitation because what you're leaving behind. Some
Yeah.
grief, right? And fear, but knowing you're going to go over the cliff anyway.
But do you think that the grief and the fears, it's something that you can reflect on and still have as a memory rather than have it hold on to it as like to keep it with you rather than saying this was in the past?
Yes, always. I think you probably can relate to this thing because if you ask that question, I think when you look back at the hard things in life, whether they're your mistakes or situations around you, no matter how hard they were, I still have so much appreciation for them because I learned so much. And I feel
Mhm.
like I understand the world better, I understand myself better, I understand people better, and not in a negative way, just in it's in a life way. And I'm having a human experience and I have gratitude for that.
You have to put forgiveness in there, whether for others or for yourself.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I guess you would call it forgiveness, but I feel like it's more acceptance.
Hmm. That's good.
What do you think?
I think it's either you can do both. So either you have forgiveness first and then acceptance, or acceptance and then forgiveness. I'm not sure which, but I would say
Hmm.
that they play hand in hand, because by accepting it, you can forgive it and then you can move on, or you have to forgive it and then accept it. I don't know.
Hmm. That is a very good point. I'm gonna have to think about this.
Yeah,
Very good.
but I but either or both, moving on is should be the next correct step to take.
100%. And there's no question. And just like some of these songs, you're going to be doing it anyway, even if there's going to be pain and you
Yeah,
can't help yourself and you're embracing it. Right. And then the dog days will be over and then they'll come back around again and then they're gone again.
yeah. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
Currently, Instagram at
Yeah,
Hey Stacey Owen.
you post a lot.
I post a decent amount, but I might be doing a little bit less and I might be doing a little bit more over on Substack.
Oh, is that hot off the? Is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that
She's brand new as of this week, and I haven't done too much with her yet, and I have plans. I have plans for her.
writing as well?
Writing, I'm working with a agency actually right now with a book and working on a keynote speech.
Ah,
Hmm?
congratulations! That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah,
good luck with the book.
thank you.
Um, Stacey, thank you for sharing your 10 tracks with us. Really appreciate and going through these songs, and a few of them that I got to know a little bit more about, especially this Icelandic group, which I'm gonna have to figure out how they say their name because
Yeah, we need to
I'm
know.
curious. And check out some more of Sarah's songs because
Sarah
Billie,
McLachlan.
yes, she's Canadian.
She's Canadian. She does Blackbird beautifully. You should listen to that one.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
good. Yeah, maybe I have heard. That's the one I have heard. Is it?
Mm.
Could be.
Mhm.
When we say goodbye, I would say to everybody to be kind, be humble, be loved. And I wish you the best. I hope you have a wonderful trip. This is going to probably air after you're back, but maybe there'll be a lot of photos on Instagram of your trip to Roma. And thank you for being my guest.
Thank you for having me. You are wonderful.
Pretty vacant times.
Are you ready?
It suffers for his sports jacket.